That is a pretty nice shot, I have to admit. That's looking pretty good.
That's gorgeous.
It is indeed. And hello, everyone.
Rare and gorgeous.
Exactly, I know, it should be pouring down rain. Hello, this is Digital Trends Live. Thanks so much for joining us, and live, I mean, we are on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, and Facebook right now, every day here with Digital Trends, bringing you the latest in tech news, some headlines, some interviews. We have, as usual, so much on tap today. Let's run down the list here. So starting off, I'm just going to say coming up here in a little bit on the show, we're going to be joined by Ronan Glon from our automotive section to talk about the upcoming LA Auto Show. We're going to talk about Lamborghini's new SUVs. Yes, Lamborghinis and SUVs is a thing that's apparently happening. We're going to discuss that. We've got coming up later on too, Jay Yu, product design manager for Nerf, to talk about Nerf and their team up with Overwatch, which if you're watching live right now, you can see we've got some of the guns here on the table, the Nerf guns. Maybe one of these gets opened up. I don't know. Maybe somebody. I kind of want to keep the crew from getting them before I get shot. So we've got that coming up. So Jay Yu is going to be talking about Nerf and their team up. And then we have a very special interview from the Portland Timbers practice facility. We have Zarek Valentin with our own Riley Wynn talking about, I think, technology. I mean, who knows what they're going to bring up. Technology, talking about probably the Western Conference Finals that the Portland Timbers are in.
Maybe some soccer.
Maybe some soccer will get brought in there. So that's all happening here on today's show. And I'm Greg Nibbler, here joined now by Adrian Warner. Hello, Adrian.
Good morning. Hello.
Good morning. Thank you for hopping in here today.
Thank you for having me. It's a beautiful Monday, and Nerf guns and Lamborghinis and soccer sounds like a fun lineup.
It's a pretty good lineup.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good lineup of stuff. Unfortunately, I don't get to drive the Lamborghini, but
okay.
That's we'll be discussing it anyway.
Maybe we'll petition for that.
I think we should, clearly. Well, we've got all of our tech headlines that we want to get to here this morning and our Read 'em and Weep segment. But to start off, before we get to any of that, we just want to bring up kind of the trending story that's happening right now. Since we are live, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern every day, we try to gather whatever people are talking about the most, and this is somewhat tech-related in that it will affect some industries, I believe, and it has to do with Nissan. The chairman of Nissan, and this just happened today, are the reports that are coming through, Carlos Ghosn, ousted after allegations of financial misconduct and, in fact, arrested.
Yes, it sounds like he was actually arrested and is going to be stepping down from his position. It sounds like he was kind of on his way out anyways, but obviously this is big headlines for the fact that he was underreporting his salary to the Tokyo Stock Exchange. That's a big deal.
That is a big deal, yeah. So Carlos Ghosn and Greg Kelly, one of the representative directors, as you're saying, the fact that they were actually arrested, what kind of ramifications this is going to have for the rest of the industry is going to be interesting. I mean, because as you know, automotive and tech is pretty much the same thing at this point. I mean, there's so much tech involved in automotive, and to find out what kind of ramifications, because he's also involved in a bunch of other groups as well when it comes down to automotive. So
I think Mitsubishi, and then I think he has his own company that's auto related. That's I think just Ghosn.
Ghosn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ghosn, gone.
Going.
It's really hard not to start making those gone from Nissan. All right, we won't do that. But seriously, arrested this morning, so more information is going to be coming out about that as we go through the day. There's an article up at Digital Trends that I'm sure we'll be updating as we find out more on what's going on there. So there we go. That was the lead story. Nissan's chairman fired and arrested for, let go. I guess the firing is going to be coming in the next couple of days, where Nissan's already made a statement like, we know, we're firing him. He's on his way.
We're aware.
We're aware. So we'll find out more about the allegations and exactly what happened as the news comes out on that. All right, we've got more tech headlines we want to cover here, but now it's time for our Read 'em and Weep segment, where we gather the comments, some of the comments that have come through across Digital Trends platforms over the last few days regarding articles. Let's take a look at this one first. We've got Mike Melton. Says, regarding Elon Musk receives FCC approval to launch over 7,500 more satellites into space. Now, we had this story last week, and it is true. Elon Musk has approval. It's not just 7,500. That's 7,500 more. It's 12,000 total.
Whoa, okay.
Satellites called, and it's for SpaceLink, I believe is what they're calling it, or Starlink, where it's going to be basically worldwide global internet is what Elon Musk wants to launch. So where you would have coverage no matter where you are in the world.
I mean, it's overdue.
Yeah.
Will Musk be the one to deliver it? We'll see. Jury's out.
Yeah, well, it could be Elon Musk. And this comment, though, this will never work because the Earth is flat. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Mike. I think
Mike.
we always need a good flat Earth comment on pretty much every article. Nothing breeds more comments than that. It's being noted here on our live chat on YouTube. Takavor just said the Earth is flat. So just found out. So that again, we're helping spread this news here. According to Mike Milton, the Earth is flat. So that's what we other breaking news that we wanted to make sure that we got there to you. All right, so
breaking headline.
Breaking headline.
The Earth is reported as flat.
Facebook comment. Earth is flat. All right, let's go on to our next one here. We've got Vagrant Chef.
Excellent. Excellent YouTube handle.
I want to know the story behind that, behind the Vagrant Chef. But this is regarding the article, How to Unsend Sent Email in Gmail. FML, sent unnecessary email, watched this 1-minute video, realized I only had 30 seconds to unsend.
That's, that's a legitimate comment.
It is. Sorry, we need to make those videos just as quick as possible.
Just really quick, a bunch
you
of
hit send
headlines.
quick, hit the undo button right now, or it's too late.
Or you're screwed.
It's too late. Yeah, it's all got to be just 20 seconds of like a completely panicked video of somebody screaming as they're sending the email. Yeah,
hitting his keyboard with knives.
Vagrant Chef, email us, tell us why you're called the Vagrant Chef. I want to know. All right, next comment that we have here is Stephen Funderburg. All right, regarding hotter than the sun, Chinese fusion reactor claims breakthrough. I'm going to actually fill you in on that one here in just a little bit. That is a story that's up at Digital Trends. And Stephen says, I've got a feeling a supervillain is about to accidentally be created. Yikes. Yeah.
This sounds like the beginning of a Marvel storyline,
It does.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. There was, an innocent scientist working on the fusion reactor. Something went wrong, and now they're mad about it. That's pretty much there. I wrote the movie.
And now they have infinite power.
Now they're ticked. So there. That could be happening. So Stephen, I think you're on the right track with that one as well. All right, let's see what else here we have. How would you say this? How would you say that? If you had to read that straight up, VE3MIC, how would you pronounce it?
VMIC.
VMIC, there it is.
VMIC at VMIC.
Sure, we'll go with that. All right, VMIC, regarding digital trends, the Palm is the most useless product of 2018. This was a title that we had. So if you didn't know this, Palm Pilot, that company, although it's, I think, in like its third different owner at this point, they're coming back out with another phone, trying to bring back the Palm. And VMIC says it's the BlackBerry playbook all over again. BlackBerry and the Palm. Did you ever own a BlackBerry or a Palm?
Oh no, that was a little bit before my time. So
Okay.
I was basically, I think I was just in college essentially, and no need for a BlackBerry.
No need for a BlackBerry ever. Yeah, I had one BlackBerry.
Yeah.
And I do kind of. No, I don't.
Do you miss the like frantic typing on tiny keys?
Yeah, all the constant like clacking that you would hear everywhere when people were on them. Yeah. That was part of it. Yeah, Palm Pilot didn't get a great review, if you can tell by that title from Digital Trends. You can actually read that. When we came out with that one, I was like, wow.
Does it have the stylus and everything?
I don't remember if it has the stylus. Maybe you would hope, but either way, it's still the most useless product of 2018, according to us.
That's a pretty prestigious title.
Yeah, it really is. Knocking it out of the park. All right, let's go on to Garrett Earwaker.
Yeah.
Garrett Earwaker, regarding China, says it has developed quantum radar that can see stealth aircraft. A lot of claims coming out of China over the last week or so.
Yeah.
And this was another claim that they've developed something called quantum radar, which is able to detect previously undetectable planes and aircraft. So stealth aircraft, it would be able to detect them. And here's another comment. Quote, by the time we realized what was going on, it was too late. Random guy telling old tale at the bar. I think you tied this in with the supervillain from the fusion reactor.
And the flat Earth.
And the flat Earth, fusion reactor. Yeah, clearly the stealth
There's
aircraft.
a story to tell here.
There is something, I think we've got a franchise maybe.
With quantum radar.
The quantum radar is the only way to find the guy who was in the fusion reactor that became the supervillain. So the technology that was there that started it, then they used that tech to save it.
It all ties through.
It all works out, yeah. But that's part of the trilogy, so you have to wait for that one. All right, I think we've got, a couple more here that we wanted to get to. So Live for Tech, or Live for Tech? Probably Live for Tech.
Probably Live for.
Live for Tech, all right. It's like the band Live. It's supposed to be pronounced Live. Did you know that?
No.
Okay, that was a useless fact. All right, Digital Trends, PlayStation 5 release date in 2020 confirmed. And this is a constant rumor when it comes to PlayStation or even Xbox. Is when is the next console going to come out? And there are some rumors saying that possibly they could announce the PS5 later next year. These are the most recent ones.
You gotta wonder, because it sounds like they're not gonna be at E3.
They're not. Yeah, Sony's not going to be at E3.
So yeah, are they saving all of their announcements for their own event? We'll see.
It's a good question. Yeah, there's a lot of companies that have been backing out of E3
Yeah.
and then trying to launch their own events kind of around it or just completely separately. But the PS5, always a rumor, and it is this, oh no, more money. Is this possibly why a whole generation cannot afford their own homes? There's too much tech to spend their money on instead of saving for their futures. Oh well. I mean,
But I love the oh well.
oh well.
Well,
well.
I love my avocado toast and my PlayStation.
So this is why you can't buy a home.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, this is it right here. I mean, if the PS5 costs as much as a home, then yeah.
Then
okay.
wow.
Then yeah, maybe save your money, or I don't know. I don't know how to judge somebody on that. Maybe people just like video games rather than buying homes.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. All right. Anyway, flat Earth. All right, let's let's go on. We got Jennifer Lash. Jennifer, regarding digital trends, would you swap your key card for a microchip implant? For many, the answer is yes. Our own Drew Prindle has a microchip implant.
I think it's going on 2 years now that he's had
Yeah,
that in.
yeah, and I think he's got 2 in there actually, but I think only 1 works if I remember right. I can't remember how it is. Yeah, I believe it's not the first time that somebody implanted something in him, but he does have it, so he doesn't have to use the key card for the elevator here at Digital Trends. So we're in
Just
Portland.
subtly wave his hand.
Yeah, he waves his hand at it, and then boom, it'll buzz him up to the office.
That's so cool.
It is pretty cool. I mean, I wonder what else it could be programmed for.
Car,
Yeah.
probably.
Oh, yeah, probably.
The entry for your house.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You could. And just the idea of waving your hand and entering
Yeah.
is just so futuristic and cool.
Would you get one? Would you
would.
get an implant?
I would.
You would?
I would.
Live on Digital Trends Live?
Sure, I'll do it live.
There we go. All right, coming up. If you have a chip you want to put in Adrian's hand, contact us, send us an email to DT Live.
What have I done?
I know, you just admitted it on camera. That means that's basically a contract you just signed.
That's true.
So now it's official. This has to happen. We're gonna make this happen. I'm not gonna let this go either.
My parents watching are terrified.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. See what happens. All right. Well, there we go. Great comments, and we have a new segment coming up. So let's talk about some other headlines, some
Yes.
other news headlines that came through as you think about the ramifications of what you just admitted, and let's go to the news.
To Apple.
To Apple. Thank you.
It sounds like they're applying for an iPhone wraparound display patent as more news about foldable phones comes out, and Samsung seems to be leading the charge there. It sounds like Apple's going to follow suit.
Apple wants to join in the fun of getting a foldable phone or some kind of wrappable display. And so usually you would think they would be at the forefront of this, but they're not. Like you said, Samsung leading, Huawei's got one, LG's probably going to come out with one. There was that Royole who already has one. Nobody's going to get the Royole, but nonetheless, Apple being behind. So some of their patents have to do with some other unique ways of making the phone work, and one of them was have a foldable display that then goes inside another glass display, turning it into a phone.
Yeah, because we all want to carry around an empty glass
An empty glass
tube.
display, glass tube, to turn your phone to that. I mean, and again, these are just
just
patents.
speculative. Yep.
Yeah, showing another one is an actual, flexible display that I don't know how they would word that. And perhaps, that's the one that we've really been wanting, which is the wrap around your arm
snap
display.
bracelet.
Snap bracelet, yeah.
We're all waiting for it.
I think that's the key. Is we want the snap bracelet phone.
That's true.
But yeah, Apple definitely jumping into it. So we'll see where they go with everything. I mean, I can't imagine they're going to be too far behind. Maybe they're waiting for everybody else to kind of work out the kinks on all of their
That's what I think.
products.
They're going to come in and perfect it and make it look really sleek and
Yeah.
new. Yeah.
I can't remember, are you an Apple or an Android person?
I'm more of an Apple person.
Okay.
Just always been an Apple person. And, I use a Mac, I use an iPhone. I can't really see myself, distancing from that, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah. Do you have a desire for the foldable display?
I think it's really cool. I don't necessarily think I'm gonna just run out and get it because I feel like this first wave of anything or first generation of anything, I kind of want to wait and see what the reviews are and the functionality, and then I want to see how companies improve upon that after that first wave comes out. So I really want to hold off for now. But
Okay.
yeah, what about yourself?
Except for when it comes for implantable chips.
Except for well, you know what? 2 years.
2 years is true.
2 years in Drew's hand is. Good enough review for me.
And I do have some comments here I want to get to that are coming in through on chat, so I want to talk about those. But yeah, when it comes down to the foldable display, yes, I would like to play around with one. I'm sure there's some pretty cool applications for it. No, I'm not going to spend $1,800 on one.
Yeah.
Or, that was one of the estimates on what the price of the Samsung would be. We don't know for sure, but God, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if there's any sort of foldable technology at CES that's for mobile phones. I imagine there will be some hands-on demos maybe. Obviously, probably not with Samsung since they're waiting for MWC, but I don't know. We'll see what comes out.
Somebody will have some there, even if it's not on the show floor at CES, but I'm sure one of our mobile editors will be able to get their hands on it just to take a look at it. If anybody does bring one, I'm guessing maybe LG will try to beat some people to the punch and have one down there. Looking at the comments, just going back to the chip. Our own Riley Wynn is going to be talking to Zarek Valentin of the Portland Timbers on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. I just said I will totally let y'all implant a chip into me on DT Live. This is becoming a company-wide thing here. Now we're going to have a raffle to see who gets the chip in.
Who gets the chip?
Yeah. Who gets
the
chip? And then we can have everybody vote on who ends up getting the chip. I think this is going to be a whole thing that we've got here. All right.
This will be a good bracket showdown.
Yes, we're working this out on the fly as we're talking right now. All right, continuing.
Using these Nerf guns.
Using these Nerf guns to implant the chip. All right, let's continue on. Moving on from Apple, let's talk about this, the fusion reactor.
Oh, yes.
So the fusion reactor, you saw the comment there about it. So this is another claim from China, and this is from scientists at the Chinese Academy of Sciences Institute of Plasma Physics. That is a mouthful.
That's a mouthful.
It really is. And the device is called the Experimental Advanced Superconducting Tokamak. I'm not sure what tokamak is. I'm not sure. Small Hadron Collider, I think, is what we're hearing there. So that's kind of what they're looking at. So basically, the idea of nuclear fusion is kind of the white whale. It's what everybody wants.
Right. It's what everybody wants, and it sounds like we're 10, 20 years away. It's kind of hard to estimate how soon it's going to make a huge impact on our energy industry.
Right. I mean, if we were to get it, so essentially, if you don't know nuclear fusion, the combining two. Let me make sure I get my terminology right. I know. I was like, I know what this is.
Thermodynamics or something.
Yes. Anyway, it's compressing two atoms together. The energy that's released is a huge amount of energy. It's mostly clean energy, and if you can harness it, it pretty much means you would have limitless energy. If this was actually accurately harnessed, something that's been talked about for decades, everybody wants to be able to do that. Problem is it's very expensive and it's very hard because you can't get it that hot to do it.
It's really difficult, but the implications, if people pull it off, are amazing because there's zero carbon emissions. It sounds like it's also relatively safe.
Compared to fission,
Yeah, exactly.
And so what they're claiming now in China that they haven't, they're calling it their artificial sun, is they reached a temperature of 180 million degrees Fahrenheit with a heating power of 10 megawatts, and that is 6 times hotter than the center of the sun. And they claim they reached this achievement last week. And what that means is we're on our way. So it's, I believe, 270 million degrees Fahrenheit is where you need to be in order to actually successfully fuse to nuclei.
Sure, yes.
Yeah. Again, we're not the experts on this. We do have an article at Digital Trends. I think this is fascinating and I want to read more about it, but this is the claim coming out of China that maybe we're there.
The real question
is on the way.
How many degrees is that Celsius?
Oh, God. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me right now. Courtney says, yay, Greg got it. Okay, yep. Worked my way through it. Made it there. All right. I know we probably need to go to a break because we're going to be coming up here in just a minute with Ronan Glahn to talk about the LA Auto Show and everything that's going on with Lamborghini, and then even just kind of the future of autonomous vehicles and where they're going and what some possible implications are of those. So we're going to be joined with him here in just a minute. Coming up later on, we've got JU from Nerf to talk about their team up with Overwatch, and Zarek Valentin of the Portland Timbers, all here on Digital Trends Live. Keep dropping in your comments, your questions, whatever you need. Adrian, thank you for joining.
Yes, absolutely. I will see if I have to roll back on that chip implanting comment.
Too late. You already said it. That is a contract. It's as good as signed. All right.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. We'll be back here in just a couple of minutes with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live, broadcasting here from our Portland, Oregon studio. But we are live everywhere, of course, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, every weekday, bringing you tech headlines and news. And we do have coming up here in just a little bit, Zarek Valentin from the Portland Timbers is going to join us. JU from Nerf is going to be stopping by. But right now, let's talk to Ronan. Ronan from our automotive section here for Digital Trends to kind of bring us up to date on what's going on with several different things in the automotive world. Ronan, hello. Oh, I think I'm not quite getting the audio coming through. This is part of being live, so let's try it again. Hey, Ronan, hello.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Doing great. Thank you so much. This is the magic of technology. Ronan, you're in France, correct?
I'm in France, yep.
In France, in your office, and I think, obviously at some point we will have to talk about the cars behind you as we go through this interview. And I know you have some things specifically that we're going to cover today. I did just want to ask if you had any thoughts about the Nissan executive being arrested this morning. How do you think that's going to affect the automotive industry?
Well, details are still pretty vague about what actually happened. We just got a very short statement from Nissan saying that he underreported his income and that he also misused company funds. But what's interesting is this could have very far-reaching implications because Carlos Ghosn, as you mentioned, also runs Mitsubishi. He runs Renault, which is a French car maker, and he runs the Renault Nissan Mitsubishi Alliance, the conglomerate. It's a massive company that he more or less single-handedly founded. So right now, details are few and far between. Some Japanese media outlets say that he's been arrested. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but if that's true, it could have major implications because he kind of steered Nissan on the path that it's on right now. He championed electric cars before they were popular, before Tesla became a household name. He was pushing for the Leaf. He's also pushed autonomous technology, so it's going to be interesting to see if Nissan can stay the course with Ghosn gone.
Wow. Yeah, so more, like you said, more information coming out about that. So follow along, digitaltrends.com. We've got an article up that will constantly be updated as we get more information. All right, let's move on to talk about some of the things you wanted to bring up today. The LA Auto Show. It's coming up very soon, correct?
Yep, it starts on November 30th for the public, but the DT team is going to be on location in Los Angeles starting on November 27th to cover some of the preview events and the media days for the show as well.
So let's walk through what you're looking forward to from it, what you expect to see or what you want to talk about from the LA Auto Show coming up.
Well, it's interesting because as you might know, Detroit is getting smaller and smaller. That's going to be in January. So companies are pulling out of the Detroit show and kind of folding back into Los Angeles. So you've got, LA has always been about kind of glitzy, ritzy cars. You've got the next generation Porsche 911 coming out. That's going to be a major debut. But you've also got some of the truck introductions like the Jeep's Gladiator, which is a pickup truck based on the Wrangler. Also interesting is you have quite a few crossovers. You have the Honda Passport, which is a new model, which is going to be between the CR-V and the Pilot. And you have a brand new automaker called Rivian, which kind of wants to be, in a sense, the Tesla of the off-roader segment. They want to have off-road cars that are entirely electric, very fast, long-range models. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have to show as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a couple of questions on that. So, I mean, you did mention the Jeep truck that's coming out, which I think the design's interesting to me. I don't know if that's something that I personally like. I mean, I am curious to see how it's going to work out. I mean, do you have any thoughts about this before you even see it?
I think so, yeah, and we've seen it. I mean, there's some photos that leaked online that kind of give us a very good idea of what it's going to be. And it's interesting because the compact truck segment in the US is picking up steam. For a while, it was almost dead. Companies were pulling out of the segment and they weren't coming back to it. Now it's picking up steam, but Jeep has a different proposition. Jeep, it's not a truck for a construction site. This is a truck for the great outdoors. So you're not going to have the base spec plastic bumpers, vinyl interior model, but it's four-wheel drive. It's really the kind of truck that you want to drive with maybe a jet ski or something, pulling a jet ski, or you want to take your dogs to the great outdoors on a hike, you want to take the Jeep truck. So it's a very different proposition compared to what's already on the market. And I think it's going to do fairly well. The demand for trucks and SUVs is sky high right now in the United States.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's kind of the market they're going for. It's probably a smart move, actually. So they're going to be at the LA Auto Show. And then you mentioned that other company, and I know we need to get to a couple other things that we want to talk about too, but Rivian, is that how you pronounce that?
It's called Rivian.
Rivian. So Rivian,
Yeah.
so it's a new competitor basically in the electric car market, but going after trucks in particular.
Yeah, they're going basically after the same market that Jeep wants to lure into showrooms. So the off-roader, kind of the adventurer market.
And so what's the story behind this company? Because I actually haven't heard of them before.
It's a company, it was founded by an MIT graduate named R.J. Scaringe. I might have butchered his last name. He's about 35 years old, so he's a fairly young guy. And his initial idea was to start a company that made a very efficient internal combustion engine. He decided to switch to electric cars several years ago, and he actually bought a former Mitsubishi factory in Illinois to build these cars. They have an R&D development center in Michigan, in Plymouth, Michigan, so on the outskirts of Detroit. And they're building a modular platform for a truck and an SUV initially, but the lineup is going to grow down the road.
That's pretty fascinating. That's pretty cool that he was able to start that, just start a company like that. I mean, you see that more and more, but just what you have to go through to get to that level, that's pretty interesting. I'm really curious to check more of their stuff out. Now, let's move on to a couple of the other things we wanted to cover, which is, I was talking about this, the Lamborghini Uru. Am I saying that correct?
The Urus.
Urus. Well, see, there we go. That's why you're the expert. The Lamborghini Urus. So tell us about this.
Well, the Lamborghini Urus, actually, it came out last year. Mm-hmm. It's one of the first, Lamborghini made an SUV in the 1980s, but it was almost kind of like an Italian Hummer. It's very big, very boxy. The Urus is completely different. It's kind of a sporty, crossover coupe, SUV coupe type SUV. And a lot of people were saying that's not a Lamborghini. It's turbocharged. It's not naturally aspirated. It doesn't look like a Lamborghini. And so the company released a concept this weekend called STX. And it's a way to silence the naysayers, to say, look, this is an SUV, granted, but it's also a Lamborghini. The STX is a full-blown race car. It's 25% lighter than the production model, and it's going to hit the track in 2020. And what's interesting about, you've got the Huracan, which competes in track racing. The Urus kind of builds on the SUV concept, and it's going to be in a one-make race series. It's going to be on the track and also off the track, so you're going to be able to race this thing off-road if you want to.
Wow. I'm looking forward to seeing that, and I would love to get in that for a test drive. Are you going to get to drive it?
Hopefully.
Okay, I want to see that video when it happens. I know we're starting to run out of time, but I wanted to bring up one other thing too, and you were referencing the article that we have of Digital Trends right now, talking about the future of autonomous cars and how it's going to affect not just the car industry, but kind of everything. And I don't know if there's a couple of points you wanted to touch on with that.
Yeah, there was a study recently that highlighted how autonomous cars can impact tourism. So we always hear about how autonomous cars are going to make driving safer, and you're going to have more time when you commute because you don't have to actually drive. You can either work or sleep or read a book. But the impact on tourism is actually fairly interesting because the researchers who did this study envisioned that, for example, if you land in Paris and driving in Paris is pretty stressful. There's cars everywhere and the lanes aren't necessarily marked. You could actually book an autonomous car to take you to your destination. That's one implication. Or you could also book the autonomous car and go on a tour. So, in some cities you have the hop on, hop off buses that kind of take you from point A to point B. The autonomous cars could replace those, for instance.
Yeah.
And you could.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Well, I was just saying, yeah, that's a really interesting point, just seeing where that could actually go and how many different industries could be replaced. And the hop on, hop off, that just kind of makes sense. It was just on a loop going around the city to the different points, and it's just autonomously driven. There's so many different implications. That article is fascinating too at digitaltrends.com. I highly encourage everybody to take a read of that and just see where that study is showing and just some of the different ideas of what it could do, how this is going to change how we live, because it's coming. Autonomous cars are on the way. And
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and yeah, it's definitely going to change up a lot for us. Well, Ronan, I want to say thank you so much for hopping on here with us today. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so you can check out everything that Ronan's writing about and everything for the LA Auto Show at digitaltrends.com. We need to take another quick break and get back on track here because we're going to be joined by Jay from Nerf to talk about Nerf and their team up with Overwatch. If you have comments, questions, drop those into the live chat. We'll be back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. continuing on with more Digital Trends Live coverage. Like I said, drop your comments in there, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, and Facebook. In just a little bit, we're going to be joined by Zarek Valentin of the Portland Timbers. Right now, I would like to welcome to the show Jay Yu, the product design manager for Nerf. Hello, Jay. Hi, let's see if we can get Jay's audio in there, and we'll get him piped over here in just a second. So one of the main things we're going to be discussing today is Nerf's team up with Overwatch, and you can see them here on the desk with me right now. We've got some of the Nerf guns. But before we even get into talking about that, Jay, working for Nerf, I mean, Nerf is one of those companies where I think we all grew up being like, Nerf is awesome. You know, we all love Nerf products. How did you get involved with Nerf? Uh-oh, we're losing some audio there. Just, sorry, part of the problem with live, I think Jay can hear me, but we can't hear Jay. So we're gonna go ahead and walk through that and just kind of reset here just a second and get him teamed back up online. As I said, we are live. And you know, this is part of the thing when it comes to live programming. Sometimes things happen when it comes to audio. So we're gonna go ahead and get him back on there. But if you do have comments and questions, drop those in on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, or Twitch to talk about Nerf. Okay, if we're having some issues, I'm not sure if we want to move, or maybe we're bringing them back on right now. So again, I'm just kind of getting the information as we go through. I'll take a look and pull up one of these right now. So if you are a fan of Overwatch, you probably have used one of these before. I really want to unbox this thing and use it right now, but I don't think I'm allowed to, so I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to try not to touch it, but I totally want to take it out and actually shoot one. Okay, maybe we can just take one out here. Let's just take a look here. I'm just going to do it since we are on live television, and as we have Jay coming back on again, if you have your comments and your questions, drop those through. Do we have Jay back right now? Okay, we're getting him right back on. I'm getting my notifications here. So maybe we'll just reset this whole thing and start over from the beginning. And we'll try this one more time. How about this? Welcoming now to Digital Trends Live, we have Jay Yu from Nerf. Hello, Jay.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Yeah, great to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for hopping in. You know, we're going to talk about Nerf's team up with Overwatch and some of the really cool products you guys have coming out. But before we even get into that, I just wanted to ask you, you know, your title, product design manager for Nerf. Like, how did you get involved with Nerf?
Well, I guess it was my passion. An opportunity came along, you know, like you said earlier, you know, everybody grew up with a Nerf. So did I.
Yeah.
I loved it. An opportunity came up, so I joined the team. So after several years, here I am in front of the whole world.
That's so great. I mean, what exactly does a manager of product design do for Nerf?
Well, I play with the Nerf blasters a lot.
I was gonna say, yeah, is it just all day long, like shooting your colleagues with Nerf guns, or?
Yes, that's part of my job. That, you know, visualizing, conceptualizing what fun, exciting experience I can bring to our fans and consumers. So, you know, sketching, like 3D CAD designing, also involved in engineering. So kind of overseeing the whole product development. So that's, I guess, a title to my job.
Wow, that sounds like a ton of fun. And I can only imagine.
It's a lot of fun.
Is there like a day of the week where they just, in the office or something, they're just like, okay, now's the time, let the Nerf war begin? Or is it, what are the rules on that?
Well, to give it some sense, my manager could walk in and blasted a dart at me. So there really isn't a set time of day. We all have a Nerf war. But it's like we're a lot of like geeks and we like to have fun. So any time of day.
Nerf war can break out. That's so great. Well, let's talk about this team up for Overwatch. Like, how did this come about?
So we had a brand new vision, and there was a great opportunity for working with the Blizzard. And you know, it's a whole matrimony kind of deal that everything kind of worked out. You know, the whole opportunity came along. So we both interested in we were interested in Blizzard, and they were also interested in us. So it was a whole matrimony kind of deal. So everybody's happy. So let's go ahead and do it and come out with these awesome offerings for our fans and consumers.
Well, and it's based off of actual, guns and the characters in Overwatch, which I think is really interesting. How does that design process work when you're looking at something, it's a video game gun? Like, how do you go about producing that in reality? Like, what are the steps?
So we look at the game assets. There, each character's a weapon, and just kind of thinking on, okay, how could one thing would work? So, say for instance, right next to me is a McCree, and this is actually a new mechanism we came up about. So, how can we make a revolver out of our existing mechanism? Or in this case, we have to develop a new mechanism. So, we kind of visualize where things could go on, where the springs, where the triggers, where the rounders would go in. So we, kind of visualize that and put our engineering hat on and try to come up with a new mechanism. So that's actually the first. So once we prove out the mechanism, we actually build a prototype, what we call the breadboard model, to prove our concepts. Then, and once that's proven out, then we go ahead and make the aesthetics looking like so. So all the revolving action happens. So
Wow.
yeah.
That looks like so much fun. I'm sorry, I'm just watching you guys are going through this, like how you design these things. So I've got some questions too that are coming in from our live chat, and I want to continue talking about the Overwatch, but I did get this from YouTube. Where does your inspiration for creating Nerf gun designs come from, and do you have a personal favorite Nerf gun? Obviously, the inspiration for this is Overwatch, but what about other ones?
So, like I said, I mean, the Overwatch blaster are all my favorites, my favorite characters too. And amongst my favorite Nerf guns, genesis of the Nerf blaster, like the Mavericks, the Vulcan, about 10 something years ago, we came over with it. All those ones are my favorite. So for my inspiration, I kind of start off from the mechanism and play experience first, and I kind of like wrap the shells around based on the things I find are more mechanical. I take the inspirations of the more maybe automotive design or something more mechanical. But aside from, I don't take the inspiration from like weapons or any kind of the more mature materials in that sense. But at the end of the day, we're making toys, so I look at stuff that's more fun, could be exciting for younger consumers and our fans.
That's really cool. Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's for fun, all of these, and Nerf is fun. I mean, Nerf just says fun. And sorry, that's just me personally saying that because I love Nerf products. So let's talk some more about the Overwatch one. So you've got how many different guns did you come up with for the Nerf Overwatch team up?
For the Microshot's brand, the lineup, we came with the 3, what you see on the table, and for rival brand, we have a McCree, you have here, and you have a Diva blaster with awesome funny key charm. And also we came up with the Reaper double pack blaster, and what you see in the back here, also the mask for the ultimate cosplay, ultimate in-game experience in real life.
Really cool. All right, so when are these available for people to pick up?
So right now, these are available pre-order at game, the game.
Gameplay.
GameStop.
GameStop.
Sorry.
Excuse me. Yeah, GameStop. Sorry.
Yeah, it's available right now, so everybody can go in there pre-order right now.
Okay, so you can get a pre-order, and then GameStop. So GameStop, and starting January 1st, more available at most major retailers on April 22nd. But yeah, pre-order them now. Get those orders in. Yeah, and that's kind of cool that we have them in here already. So pre-order them. And Jay, I want to say thank you too for taking time out to talk to us. I do have one other just final question here before we wrap up. Is there any, because you said, you guys are a bunch of geeks there, just like we are. Like, is there any franchise you want to design a Nerf gun for, whether it's a sci-fi series or a cartoon or a video game? Is there anyone that you would like to?
Definitely. We're open to any opportunity. Like you said, I mean, personally, I'm a geek for myself. So any gaming title, movie title that are associated with, so the fans can really excited about playing our blasters and keep on blasting for any kind of topics or any kind of contents. So we're all open for that.
Nice. So That is, I would like to see some from, oh man, there's so many different kind of Nerf guns I would want to see. Fifth Element. Some of the ones from Fifth Element. I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but I think that would be cool. Well,
Yeah.
all right, Jay, thank you so much for hopping on here just to talk about that. So again, the Nerf Overwatch team up. Get your pre-orders now and pick those up beginning of next year and get these 3 different ones from that. Jay, thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
All right, I think that we're ready to go out to the Timbers practice facility because we have one of the Portland Timbers on here with us. The Portland Timbers Major League Soccer team who is joining us. So Zarek Valentin is part of the Timbers, and they are in the Western Conference Finals right now. So the Western Conference Finals coming up later on this week when it begins, and we are really fortunate to have our own Riley Wynn out there at the Timbers practice facility to talk to Zarek. So let's hit it. Let's head out there right now. Hello to Riley and Zarek.
All right, thanks, Greg. Riley Wynn here. I'm here at Providence Park. I'm here joined by Timbers defender Zarek Valentin. Thanks for being on with us.
Thanks for having me.
So Zarek, professional soccer player, how long have you been playing soccer for?
I've been playing since I've been about 5 years old. I always wanted to follow my brother's footsteps, so I figured this was the best way to start.
So for professional soccer, obviously round-the-clock training, can you walk us through your training regimen for the days?
Yeah, it's no problem. We started about 8:30 every day, 8:30 for 10. A lot of players get in before that. The team likes to have as much control over our lives as possible. I say that in the most positive way, meaning they serve us breakfast, they serve us lunch, and a lot of players take home boxes for dinner. I took 2. So they can basically control everything that we put into our body. They know exactly the work we're putting in before, during, and after training. So the team has a lot of control over our lives, and I think that they enjoy that. And ultimately, they can see when a player's maybe working too hard, working too little, that eventually regiment themselves after that.
Perfect. And so within your training, we heard that you are very into the fitness trackers and the metrics that come with it. Can you tell us how fitness trackers have really affected your workouts and your training regimen?
Yeah, I used to not be into it as much, but the older I've gotten, the more I've kind of used it as a kind of a bar set to essentially gauge how fit I am. Obviously, you know, I've played a decent chunk of games and I've been very lucky to do so this year. So I've been able to gauge what my peak fitness is and how fast I can run, how I feel after the game, how I feel before the game, and maybe during a 3-game week. So I use those numbers and my speeds and essentially distance covered to gauge how fit I am. And maybe if I'm coming back from an injury, knock on wood, or maybe I haven't played a game because I was being rested or a coach decision, no matter what, I know essentially what I have to do to get my body back into peak fitness.
And during the games, you guys wear fitness trackers and these like man's ear type looking things. And I also heard that you take the most steps during a game. So can you kind of tell us how really being on the pitch and being active out there, how that affects you, those fitness trackers, as well as your boot?
Yeah, I call it a bro, actually.
Like Seinfeld.
Exactly. But yeah, essentially, it's not the most comfortable thing to wear. But again, it's one of these things where I really enjoy the data that's given to us. You know, I look at the amount of steps I take, and then I'll reference essentially how much we've had the ball, and I'll kind of use, you know, context clues to see how I handled situations, whether I didn't handle them right, whether we were under pressure and I took a lot of less steps, and maybe that has something to do with it. But a lot of those things, you know, I take into account on my own personal basis. But also, you know, a huge part of that is making sure I'm in the right footwear, the most comfortable footwear. Right now I wear the Nike Mercurial Superfly. And that actually statistically is the closest boot to my foot shape. So that benefits me comfort-wise, but also there's a cuff that's like the new cool thing that a lot of soccer players use right now, whether it's Prime Knit or Fly Knit, whatever it might be, that basically grips my Achilles, where I tore my Achilles about 4 years ago, and makes me feel as if my ankle's taped. So that all packaged into one has made me feel pretty decent on the pitch this year. And like I said, I use that to basically try to gauge my performance and try to learn as much as I can from all the numbers.
And speaking of, you know, cleats and shoes, you're wearing some pretty stylish kicks right now. Don't zoom in on mine, BJ. They're crap. But what's your favorite shoe of all time?
My favorite shoe of all time is the Jordan 3 Black Cement, followed by the Jordan 11 Concord. I actually got those yesterday. Very excited about that. So they should be, actually they're shipped already. Thank you very much, Nike. But besides that, my third favorite pair of shoes is a very inaccessible pair, which is actually the Nike Air Yeezy 2, the Red October model, which goes for a cool $7,000. So if you want to pay about 4 months rent, you
Yeah.
can get yourself a pair of shoes. So I'll pass on those for now.
That's a lot of money for shoes. So with, during the season you guys are traveling a lot. What's your favorite gadget to take with you when you travel?
For me, it's actually turned into my phone. For a while, I know it sounds crazy. I'm sorry. I had an iPad. I bought the iPad 2, the original one for my roommate and I back in 2011. And I just didn't get as much use out of it because I had a laptop at the time for school because I had to type and obviously do a lot of my papers. And I found myself on my laptop a lot more. And ultimately, I found that I had to take it so much for school that my iPad became obsolete. And I've found that the screen's bigger on my computer, the resolution's better, and ultimately I just don't feel I need to travel with 2 of those gadgets. Yeah. So that's been a huge kind of realization for me. But now that school is over, maybe it might be time to transition into one of them giant iPads that's essentially just like a mini
giant freaking screen.
I know, a mini little plasma screen TV or something like that.
So speaking of phones, we got to know, are you an Apple or Android guy?
I'm an Apple guy. I actually tried to make the switch to Android because I thought I was going to be some artsy-fartsy guy and start taking all these ridiculous pictures. Oh, the camera's so great. I probably took about 6 before I realized that I just wasn't prepared to make the switch. Whether it was like, I guess it would just be the speed of the phone or maybe the simplicity of an Apple phone. It just wasn't for me. And I got a lot of grief because I came in the locker room with my S9 Plus and I was shoving it into everyone's face, and I was Team Samsung for about 3 months. And now that I've retreated back, people have slowly realized I'm back on Team Blue. And suddenly I've been getting a lot of grief for that. So I've just had to eat it for a little bit. I had to eat actually, no, I didn't have to eat the cost of my phone because luckily someone bought it up and took off the rest of my tab. Thank you very much, Facebook. So that was a big switch for me that I've kind of since, gotten back on the Apple train.
So you were getting blown up and just ragged on in like some group text about getting back to the blue?
Oh, I've been crushed. Oh, for sure, because it was always green for a while. No one goes, whoa, blue messages? And I believe BJ was actually one of the first people that goes, whoa, dude.
BJ's our camera guy right now.
Shout out. But he goes, yo, you're blue again. And I go, let's not go there. Let's just continue the nice conversation we're having.
That's awesome. So, if you weren't playing professional soccer, what would you be doing?
Back when I was younger, I thought it would be a cool idea to be a pilot comedian.
Explain.
It's a dumb idea. But essentially I thought about it'd be cool to like fly a plane around and tell jokes, to like keep passengers entertained. But the more I flew, being an athlete, you just want to kind of rest at times. People want to zone out, throw in their headphones, and you don't want a comedian telling terrible jokes the entire flight. So I scrapped that idea very quickly. I would have loved to be an NBA player, but I was not good enough, tall enough, athletic enough, fast enough to do that. I actually almost gave up soccer for basketball when I was in 7th grade, but I realized I was on the B team for soccer and the national team, or the B team for basketball, national team for soccer. So I realized I think
you made the right decision.
I think I made a good decision. But besides that, I always wanted to be a Sports Center anchor. Just like Scott Van Pelt, Stuart Scott, John Anderson, Linda Cohn, all of them, are my favorite people growing up. And maybe one day I'll actually be an ESPN anchor.
That's awesome. So you talked about the NBA and basketball. So would that be your favorite sport outside of soccer?
Oh, for sure. I watch a lot of NBA games. I watch a lot of games that aren't my Sixers. I grew up obviously outside of Philadelphia. Huge Iverson fan. That's why I wore number 3 up until I came. But obviously, if you look up in the rafters, Clive Charles had his number retired and he wore number 3. And if you know anything about him and his impact in the greater Portland area, it's very welcomed and understandable. So, huge Iverson fan, huge basketball fan. I got to see LeBron James his first game as a Laker here against Portland. Which
Opening night, right?
Yep, yeah. Which was pretty fun. So, like I said, it's just been a fun few years following the Sixers as the team has really been trusting the process and enjoying that.
Trust the process. Shout out to Embiid out there, okay? So speaking of the rafters, we've also got the bleachers behind us. And for those of you watching that don't know, the Portland Timbers have the Timbers Army. Can you kind of tell us about that group and how they affect you guys when you're playing on the field?
Yeah, so the Timbers Army is obviously our support group, and most teams have one. Some teams in the MLS have a supporters group that are about 13 people, and we have one that's about a third of our stadium. So we're very lucky to have that. And I don't mean that as a jab to other teams. I just mean it more about how spoiled we are as Portland Timber players. So essentially, if you look from section 209 all the way over to 201, and I believe even bits of 210 and down to 110, all the way over, are on their feet chanting for 90 minutes. And actually before, because when we start to play these playoff games, they get there before the game, and they're going back and forth. The Seattle fans, whether that's Vancouver or whatever, they're basically giving us that energy all the way from warm-ups, giving us those good vibes, and it's something that's super unique, and we're super lucky to be part of that.
Perfect. Well, hey, so enough with the fun stuff. We've got some tough questions.
Ooh, okay,
some
let's do
tough
it.
ones. So, when it comes to a pizza, what's more important, cheese or sauce?
I'm going to go ahead and say sauce.
Why?
Because I feel like it provides, I'm not going to say wetness, but it provides density, maybe. I don't know. I feel like when I've had pizza and there's been very little sauce, it's just been a lot of dough and cheese, and it's very dry. And it's just not enough, not enough.
That's fine. It's just a cheesy breadstick.
Exactly. So you need the tomato sauce or pasta sauce, whatever you want to call it, on there, because I'm not a massive cheese fan, because I like to put let's say you put pepperoni or something on top. That to me is more important than necessarily a crazy amount of cheese.
Okay. Fair enough. And then, is a hot dog a sandwich?
I've been asked this before, and I say it's not. Because for me, a sandwich has two sides. A hot dog is essentially one piece that's connected. So imagine a taco. I wouldn't consider a taco a sandwich.
That is a very valid point. I've asked this to a lot of people, and this is the first time I've gotten that retort, and that is very valid.
I know. It's crazy. But yeah, I just, obviously outside of Philadelphia, you have the cheesesteak, that's a sandwich. 2 pieces of bread, smushed together, stuff in between. Hot dog's one piece, I don't trust it. And if someone thinks it's a sandwich,
You don't trust them?
no, immediately, done.
Well, Zarek, where can people go to, learn more about you, follow you, and your career here at the Timbers?
Yeah, I always try to say that I'm not the most, I would say, intense person to follow on Twitter. And I mean that in terms of, if you follow athletes, a lot of times they'll be tweeting about games and their performance and all that jazz. That's not really my style.
Okay.
I'm more of someone who would be fun-loving, tweet out a lot of jokes, some dumb observations or whatever it might be, just to try to keep it lighthearted and funny. I hope people will call me out if I tell a bad joke or don't do anything or if I'm trying too hard.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's just at my name on whatever platform you want to. LinkedIn, if you want to find me on LinkedIn.
Hey.
I've been trying to build my profile as I've graduated college recently, so that's been fun.
There you go.
But yeah, so like I said, if you're trying to follow someone that's super into soccer and you're going to get tips, that's not really me. But if you're going to follow someone who's going to try to post funny pictures and stuff like that, then that's more of me.
There you go. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us on DT Daily today. Good luck with the rest of the season. And back to you, Greg.
All right, thank you, Riley. That's Riley Wood out there talking to Zarek Valentin. Zarek joining us, obviously, from the Portland Timbers. That was a great interview. I think the idea of a pilot comedian is good, but also would drive everybody insane. So yeah, it's probably a good career choice to go with the playing for the Timbers instead. So best of luck for the Western Conference Finals, which are coming up here very soon. I believe on Friday of this week is the first game. So best of luck to the Portland Timbers for that, or maybe it's Sunday. I don't know. We'll double check, but either way, good luck to them. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Digital Trends Live. We are here live every day, bringing you all kinds of different content. We had your tech headlines starting the day off, talking about Nissan's chairman getting fired. We've got follow-ups on digitaltrends.com about all of that. We also, of course, were joined by Jay Yu, the product design manager for Nerf. We had Ronan Glon on to talk about the LA Auto Show and Lamborghini's Urus and all kinds of different things happening with that. And we've got updates on all those stories at Digital Trends, just like we do all day long. Stay tuned to the website to keep up to date on everything happening with tech. And we are live every 9 a.m. Pacific, every day, 9 a.m. Pacific and noon Eastern for Digital Trends Live, bringing you all of the tech headlines, taking your comments, your questions as we go through the day. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back tomorrow with more Digital Trends Live.